Clarity Clinical Solutions.
Data Monitoring Committees, the guardians of trial safety. Welcome to Clinical Research Explained by Clarity Clinical Solutions. What is a Data Monitoring Committee? A DMC, also called a Data Safety Monitoring Board or DSMB, is an independent group of experts who review accumulating trial data while the study is still ongoing. Their primary mission: protect participant safety and ensure trial integrity. Unlike the researchers running the trial, DMC members have access to unblinded data. They know which patients received treatment and which received placebo. This allows them to spot safety signals before anyone else. Why do we need DMCs? First, participant safety. Someone must watch for unexpected harms in real time before the trial ends. Second, unblinded oversight. The sponsor and investigators stay blinded to avoid bias, while the DMC sees the full picture. Third, early stopping. If a treatment is clearly harmful or clearly effective, the DMC can recommend stopping early. Fourth, scientific credibility. An independent DMC adds trust and rigor to the trial results. And fifth, regulatory expectation. FDA guidance recommends DMCs for most late-stage and high-risk trials. DMC versus IRB, different roles, shared goal. The Institutional Review Board, or IRB, reviews the protocol before the trial starts, focusing on ethics, informed consent, and risk minimization. It reviews adverse events annually but does not see unblinded data. The Data Monitoring Committee, on the other hand, monitors data during the trial, reviewing unblinded safety and efficacy data at scheduled intervals. Think of the IRB as the pre-approval inspector and the DMC as the in-flight safety officer. Both are essential. They operate at different stages with different information access. Composition of a DMC. A typical DMC has 3 to 7 members with complementary expertise, all independent of the trial sponsor. Clinicians, physicians with expertise in the disease area who understand the patient population. Biostatisticians, experts who analyze interim data and interpret stopping boundaries. And ethicists, specialists who weigh the ethical implications of continuing or stopping the trial. Why independence is non-negotiable. A DMC's independence is what makes its judgments trustworthy. Members must have no financial, professional, or personal ties to the trial sponsor. This firewall ensures recommendations are based solely on data, not commercial or career interests. Independence means no equity in the sponsor company, no role in the trial design or conduct, and freedom to vote their conscience. Conflicts to avoid include stock ownership, past or current collaboration, intellectual property interests, and personal relationships with the study team. When is a DMC required? FDA guidance recommends a DMC when a trial has one or more of these characteristics: high-risk interventions, especially for life-threatening conditions, vulnerable populations such as children, the elderly, or pregnant women, long-term trials where safety data accumulates gradually, and Phase 3 confirmatory trials, the gold standard for regulatory decisions. The DMC Charter, the rulebook for the committee. Every DMC operates under a formal charter that specifies scope and responsibilities, membership and qualifications, meeting schedules, stopping rules, pre-specified statistical boundaries that trigger a recommendation, confidentiality agreements, and conflict of interest policies. The charter is finalized before the first DMC meeting and is approved by the trial sponsor and regulatory authorities. Open versus closed sessions. A DMC meeting has a unique structure designed to protect blinding while ensuring thorough review. In the open session, the sponsor and investigators present aggregated safety data with no unblinding. Everyone attends. In the closed session, the DMC meets alone with unblinded data. They review treatment-specific results, discuss safety concerns, and vote on recommendations. No sponsor is present. The closed session is where tough decisions happen. The DMC's recommendation is then communicated to the sponsor without revealing the unblinded data that led to it. Stopping rules: when to halt a trial. DMCs use predefined statistical boundaries called stopping rules as objective criteria for their recommendations. Safety stopping. If adverse event rates cross a danger threshold, the DMC can recommend stopping to protect participants. Efficacy stopping. If the treatment is overwhelmingly effective, stopping early makes the results available sooner. And futility stopping. If interim data show the treatment cannot possibly succeed, there's no point continuing to enroll patients. Early stopping in action. The most famous recent example is the COVID-19 vaccine trials. Multiple DMCs monitored the Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson trials concurrently. When the interim analysis showed over 90% efficacy, far exceeding pre-specified boundaries, the DMCs recommended stopping and reporting the results, fast-tracking vaccine authorization. Pfizer showed 95% efficacy at its first interim analysis in November 2020. Over 170 countries received vaccine data from these DMC recommendations. And an estimated 8 months were saved by stopping early for efficacy analysis. How a DMC actually operates. Before the first patient is enrolled, the DMC is formed and the charter is signed. The committee receives periodic interim reports, typically every 3 to 6 months or after a pre-specified number of events. Before each meeting, the independent statistician prepares unblinded analyses. The DMC reviews these in closed session, discusses concerns, and formally votes on recommendations. The chair writes a letter to the sponsor with one of 3 outcomes: continue as planned, modify the protocol, or stop the trial. Common misconceptions. Myth: the DMC makes the final decision to stop a trial. Fact: the DMC recommends, the sponsor and regulators make the final decision. But a DMC recommendation carries enormous weight. Myth: every clinical trial has a DMC. Fact: many early phase and low-risk trials don't need a DMC. They are most common in phase 3 and high-risk settings. Conclusion. Data monitoring committees are the quiet guardians of clinical trial safety. They work behind the scenes, review sensitive unblind data, and make tough calls that protect thousands of participants. Without them, we would be flying blind in the most critical phase of drug development. Thank you for watching Clinical Research Explained by Clarity Clinical Solutions.